Hey, everybody, welcome back to this episode of Think Business Live. Looking forward to talking with George Copeland, CEO of Laborem Edge. They are experts in generating clients for people looking to grow their business. Lead generation, George, I know you guys really hone in and zoom in on lead generation through digital advertising. You're really a 360 digital agency with the goal of saving time for your clients and getting them an ROI on their money. And so I think one of the key things right now is getting people's attention, right? So I love talking to digital agencies. And so how in today's world, welcome to the show. I appreciate you being here today. How do people get and keep prospects and clients' attention in the digital world today, George?
Prospects. So first of all, thank you, John, for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, it's great.
And so your question is, how do we get prospects? We keep them. And I want to obviously direct this towards for our clients. I want to note that doing prospecting and lead generation and closing deals for a digital agency is completely different. It's like Mars and Earth when it comes to actually the strategy behind it and the techniques. So in every industry, niche is going to be a little different. And so what I would talk about is what we specialize. The two main niches is home services and law firms. And for them, it's a very urgency-based approach. So a lot of people that are looking for home services for, roof is damaged or they need a new roof, or, they're looking to remodel a home, or, plumbing or HVAC has gone out. So a lot of these businesses that we're representing, they're going to go to Google. So Google is our number one source of leads, and there's a difference, excuse me, between Google and social media. For the most part, social media is more of a brand play than a performance play. Google is very much bottom of the funnel. So up top is awareness or interest, and at the bottom is like, I'm actually ready to purchase, right?
Yeah.
And so most people that are on Google are looking for things like, plumber near me or plumber 24/7, little words like these are going to give us a better cue of intent when it comes to identifying demand. And a big aspect of search is actually avoiding costs for our clients. So, stop me if I'm rambling or going in any direction.
No. So yeah, I don't want to get too in the weeds, but so let's talk about law firms for a minute. Let's focus on law firms because I think a lot of times attorneys sometimes are not thinking as much as they should on business or prospecting or lead generation. And so, this is something that I think is, to me, there's a huge market of raising awareness in the law market, in the law sector, of business, because they need help and they're not used to promoting themselves. And it used to be that commercials were taboo, and now maybe they're not, but then they're expensive. And, this is a very economical way to, raise the awareness. And so if there's an attorney listening or somebody's listening to this later and sends it to an attorney, what are some of the things that they need to be thinking about on why to invest in a digital strategy versus thinking of it as an expense and they can just kind of keep on doing it without this type of strategy?
Got it. Okay. That is a wonderful question, and I've got a great answer for you.
Okay, good.
I'm going to walk you through just a little bit of some specific metrics as to why, and then let's talk about our client here in Richmond. Okay. We've been with them for over 3 years now. And you mentioned, law firms in general, traditional, you're going to experience a lot of the old guard experience where it's all about traditional networking, maybe traditional forms of marketing like mailing and so we do experience that with law firms. With this one locally, we had partners that are younger in the firm reach out to us, and we had to, bend over backwards at the board's request to even get in the door, to show them our results. And Now that law firm through 2020, I was just looking at the data so I can quote it. We got them 961 qualified leads at a cost of $27 per lead.
Yeah.
Last year. And that's not the whole market. That was just based on the budget that they were willing to spend.
Yeah.
And, a majority of those leads were family law leads, which are a very high profit, sector of law. So for them, it's a no-brainer. And that is why we specialize in home services and law for the most part, because the ROI is just so large. And when it comes to, with COVID, for example, like businesses have to adapt at this point. Sure, you're still I will never argue that if you can do it right, word of mouth marketing is always going to be the best form of marketing for your business, at least from an ROI bottom line perspective. Yep. But if you're really trying to ramp up a business, especially startups, Google ads or search advertising in general, there's a lot more than just Google ads. Your local listing is very important. In fact, it's only going to become more and more important because Google's trying to get everyone to convert on their page, not go anywhere. So like Google My Business is actually releasing a messenger feature where you're actually going to be able to talk to a business just like Facebook Business Messenger, same concept, but right in Google search. Mm-hmm. So anyways,
but you know what? But you bring up a good point as far as, you're bringing up a lot of things in technology and ways of looking at things. And I think a lot of companies pre-COVID were, stuck in 2008, right? Or 2005 or 2000. And now I think all companies, you're specializing in home and home services and law firms, but I really believe that all companies need to make it a priority to learn all of these softwares, applications, technology, everything that is going to take to grow their business, not necessarily today or only in 2021, but planting the seeds for the 2022 and 2023 strategy. And so when it comes to, all of these things, because, in some cases, people are listening and thinking this sounds like French, right? Google ads and this, that, and this. And so break it down fundamentally for me and anybody who's listening, right? Sure. As if you're talking to a kindergartner, what are the first 1, 2, or 3 steps that everybody needs to do to raise their awareness so they understand what they need to do to get started? Sure. Right. Because you've already spelled out, you've already quantified $27 a lead, 900 plus leads, right? Right. The company then needs to call and kind of do what they need to do. So I love that we've quantified it, but now talk about how somebody would get started so they really kind of connect with it.
Sure. Sounds good. The first step, if you have not claimed your business listing on Google yet, that one step alone can be a game changer for your business.
And how do you do that?
Yep. So I'm not sure if you're able to include a link in this post afterwards. I have a whole step-by-step guide.
Send it to me. I'll put it in the show notes.
Okay, great.
Yeah. That'd be great.
So that's one step. Within that, I actually offer the ability where I will do it for you for free. You get on a call with me for 10 minutes. We go through the form. It's basically you just need to go to Google, type in Google My Business, right? And then it'll take the first result will be the My Business result. You click on it. It'll say, set up a business. And then you just type in your business name. And sometimes it'll be there. Most likely it won't, but if it is, then great. You're already a few steps ahead. But then if it's not, you hit OK. It's going to ask you for your number, your address. It's going to ask you for your hours of operation, what category represents you best, which is very important. It's going to ask you for information about your business, photos, videos, team members. It's important that you don't neglect any aspect of the questions they ask you. And if you can't get them right away, you should absolutely make it a point, because Google definitely rewards businesses that are filling out an entire listing. Right. And then the next step that I would do is not ignore reviews. So reviews is massive. I'll just use the Amazon analogy real quick. You know, I'm sure you shop on Amazon, right? And when you type in for a product, right. And so what's the first thing you're looking for after you've put in whatever you're looking for and you have a list of products? What are you looking for?
What am I looking for?
Yeah, like what matters to you as far as probably price, right? You're looking for the most affordable product, but you're gonna.
Yeah, I usually kind of just click and go.
Yeah. Click and go. Okay. Well, all right. Fair enough. So for me, at least, I'm definitely checking out the ratings of the product that I'm going to buy, right? Because if I see, even if it's
I do that too, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's subconscious, right? We might not even be acknowledging that we do it, but it's there, and it's so. It's very. You have to treat your business just like that, because when someone types in, you know, family law near me, or, you know, home contractor or HVAC near me, there's going to be a list of businesses. It's called the local pack, and that's based on your profile that we just talked about creating. And it's going to show you not just the name, but the contact info, directions, and reviews. Reviews are very important because Google will also reward you and get you onto that list, because they only show 3 on the first page, right? You actually have to click into the map section to see more. Yeah. But most likely, if I see that a business has, you know, between, by the way, 4.2 to 4.7 is actually the best place. So don't worry about having a perfect 5-star rating. But you need reviews, you know, 10 plus reviews, 4.57, great. But if you don't have any reviews, unless there's no competition in your market, Google's most likely not going to show you. And so you don't have to pay anyone for this. Just if you already have a business and you have a database or a list of previous customers, if you've got a secretary, or again, these are things that we all do in-house for our clients, and it's a massive ROI. So if you already have an agency, I would ask them, can they do this for you? If not, again, I'd love to have a conversation, but they don't need to. In fact, a good example of not needing an agency, excuse me, my mouth a little dry.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you. Oh, sorry. I'm echoing a little bit, so I'm gonna mute you while you're talking.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure why I'm echoing. So, but I'm just gonna mute you for a second while I talk. So let me ask you a question. So there is, you know, so that's great for people to do. They can reach out to you if they need you. And so now that they're on here, you know, and it's easy to say $27, you know, $27, not easy to say, but I mean, you're talking about $27 a lead. I think you said 931. So, you know, that's basically a $25,000 investment. And I think a lot of times people look at that and they're thinking that that's a lot of money up front, because they then have to do a lot of the work once they get the leads. And so can you talk about because you mentioned earlier, generating qualified leads, right? So how do you get to the point where you know they're a true qualified lead?
Thank you. And I'm just doing some quick math here because I should already have that in front of me. But if we added in 36, 40, 49, it actually ends up being a $70 lead after you take into account our agency fees. So I apologize. I want to be very transparency and ethics, since we're talking about this right now, are 2 of our main core values at our agency. And I don't want to go on a whole tangent, but a lot of agencies will not be transparent about you about, you know, the results that they say they're getting or what you're actually experiencing. Usually there's a big disconnect between what the client is experiencing and what the agency's telling them, which leads to a lot of,
totally. I get what you're saying. And I love the transparency of all of that. So now we're looking at $70 a lead. Yeah. So, but my question to you is, if I'm a business owner, which I am, and I work with business coach companies all over the country, I think one of the biggest questions would be, how do you know they're qualified leads?
Great question. Yeah. On the transparency piece, we use call tracking for all of our clients. So we're actually reviewing every single call that comes in. And as far as counting, qualified leads, we're also only counting first-time calls as a lead, or counting towards that metric. We don't count if the same lead called 3 times, which, a lot of people, that's about a 30% fluff in a lot of scenarios that that could be misinterpreted. So first time, oh, sorry.
No, so go ahead. So you guys are kind of really digging in.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so that phone call has a lot of data associated with it. We can see what ad was shown for that call, what keyword, got them to the ad in the first place. And when I say keyword, for anyone who doesn't know, that means someone who typed in a certain phrase. Like if someone typed in plumber near me and they clicked on an ad and then they called, whether it was from that ad or on the landing page that we take them to, which we also build for our clients, they are then going to call, and we're going to see all that data, and if it was a first time call or not, and then we're going to listen to the call, and we're going to decide, was this a qualified lead in the first place? Did they close, depending on certain scenarios? We have a CRM that we also have our clients use to be able to identify if it was actually resulting in closed business. And then we can actually work backwards. And this is where I have a lot of fun, really optimizing the results for our clients. But to answer your question, that is how we understand if it's a qualified lead or not.
Good. I like that. I mean, I like the process and the formula and the assembly line you kind of walk through. I think that's important to give kind of people an inside look on what kind of happens behind the scenes to make sure that when you tee it up, it actually is something worthwhile. I think it's great. I recently did some LinkedIn ads, a 3-month LinkedIn campaign. And I thought it was great. And the LinkedIn campaign, I can't remember exactly, but I would say I got about over a 3-month, which is really about 2.5 months, about 100 qualified leads. And one of the things I found was, it was interesting. I offered some free training, and that really wasn't working. And so I offered this ebook of mine that's downloadable on my website. It's like this 100-page ebook. I also offer my own book. Yeah. And then I was getting a ton, and it was really successful. So I was I was happy with the results, and now I got to do my part and reach out to them, and they're on my mailing list and do my part. So I think it's great. I think it's great what you're talking about, because when you look at, in this case, $70 per qualified lead, I think most companies don't look at what it costs, how much a client is worth, and then what the lifetime value of a client is, and the referrals that they bring in the door. And so $70 is really nothing. And even if you look at, a smaller percentage of those as actually turning into clients, many companies only need maybe sometimes 1 or 2 to really have it pay for itself. So I think what you're doing is great. So you specialize in home services and law firms. What if other companies wanted to utilize you? I mean, are those your 2 ideal main buckets, or are you working with other types of companies as well?
Sure. Great question. And I just want to make a quick note. I want to point out a really beautiful thing you mentioned, which was the concept of free versus value. It's psychology at the end of the day. We all made that, I guess you'd call it a mistake or a learning scenario, but free doesn't sell. Sell value, generate that lead list, and then get it's a lead magnet.
Well, it's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting you say that, because, I thought, my goal is, there's a lot of people that can't afford my one-on-one training. And so I wanted to offer something, and LinkedIn, the ads weren't interested. They just wanted my ebook. And so what I created in December 7th, because of what's going on with COVID, are private coaching groups. And so they're priced at an investment that can fit in everybody's budget. And so people will be more apt to do that. And I really think it's because I think when you're a big name, you can do like the free trainings and this and the other, the Gary V's, the Tony Robbins, those. But I think when you're just like a normal person, like the free, it's almost like they need to pay something because there's an energy exchange that has to take place. And so I find, the exchange of getting somebody's email is an energy exchange for them to get the book. To offer them an opportunity to do one-on-one coaching, and if that's not within their budget, then the group coaching is a model for them where they can, I think that works. So I think you bring up a really good point. So let me ask you a question. So, so you were talking about other avenues that you go. So home services,
right,
and law firms.
Right. So over the course of the past 7 years, I've worked in over 30 different industries doing this, lead generation. And we actually work with, right now, I think at least 9 or 10 unique different industries.
Yeah.
But from working through the 30 plus, we found that our model isn't a good fit for every type of industry or every niche. And so we always want to have the conversation. So I've actually developed a proprietary software that can actually predict the future. It sounds like too good to be true, but 3 years of obsessive energy towards taking Google's open source data. I can see what people search for over the past 4 years. And then I can say, realistically, for your specific area that you serve and the topic that you're serving, how many leads can we get you at what cost on average? And so, if that math makes sense, we'll work with you. But the reason I specialize in home services and law firms is because I know any law firm or home service contractor that comes to me is going to be a home run. It's just whether or not they can make that leap, where they can jump off and trust that it's going to work. Yeah. And, I will always find any way to work with a business like a landscaper up in Fairfax, young guy, but very ambitious. He, I think started about 2 years ago. And we worked out a deal that made sense to him starting out. And, now it's through the roof as far as it makes sense to him. Yeah. But as far as we're actually very niched as far as marketing efforts go, because that's really the answer to your question. Yeah. If I sell myself as a broad agency, then I don't speak to anyone. So this is very important for any business listening that's trying to market themselves online. You have to be aware that there's so much noise out there, and you have to be very, very specific. You have to choose, some people call it an avatar, some people call it a persona. You have to be very specific that you are targeting this person with this mindset, and they are searching for this specific thing, and you have to put a page in front of them that speaks to them. So we're actually, as far as truly drilled down, right now, all we're focusing on in-house or outbound is trying to generate landscape clients right now. Right. So obviously, it also helps from a scaling perspective. If a majority of the clients we're bringing on are landscapers, then it makes that onboarding and fulfillment process that much easier. Great.
I love it. All right. You ready for a quick speed round, George?
Okay. Let's do it.
Favorite book and why?
Oh, The E-Myth. I love it because
great. Yeah.
Yeah. Do I have to say why?
It's a must read for any business person. Yesterday, we actually I do this weekly private coaching group. It's every Monday, 4:30 to 5:30. We're actually talking about the book. I just put the link in the group as kind of like, hey, this is, it's a great book. It's a great book. Best piece of wisdom you ever received?
Oh man. Don't cut corners.
Yeah, that's a good one. And finish this sentence. The first thing that everybody needs to do right now to begin growing their digital strategy is?
Oh, selfless plug. Talk to me. But if not, go get your Google listing.
Okay. All right, good. Tell everybody again who your ideal clients are and how they can connect with you.
Okay. Any business, whether it's home service, law firm, or beyond, if you are looking to grow your business, truly scale it, then we're a good fit. Call us or go to Facebook or LinkedIn. You can type in my name, George Grandis, which is Grandis, Copeland, and you can find me personally. You can reach out to me anytime. I'm available 24/7. And if you want to check out our website, you can go to your search bar and type in market.digital. So market.digital. That'll take you to our website. You can learn a little bit about us. There is a calendar, which might actually end up being a survey here in a second. But either way, fill out the survey or schedule a time on the calendar. We can speak. Check out our blog. We have a ton of content that we've been adding recently, especially around Google My Business. So I think that people would find that interesting.
Good. Send me some links and we'll put them on the page where this interview will sit on my website, on johndwoskin.com. Well, George, I'm glad we got to connect. This was fun. Thanks for sharing a lot about Google that I think is going to be eye-opening for people and give them some direction. And I appreciate that. To the Think community, thanks for tuning in. And everybody have an amazing day. And we will see you tomorrow. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, George.
Thanks, John.